49ers are going to take Penei Sewell. So it's either going to be 3 or 4 for the 49ers. But what the Falcons do with 4, let's assume the 49ers exercise the pick. The Falcons can go so many different directions. And they've done a great job of keeping their cards close to the vest. Trade down, take a quarterback, take the best non-quarterback on their board. It really is going to be interesting to see what they do. That'll give us the first tangible look in how Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot envision that franchise moving forward the next couple of years at the most important position on the field. Will it still be Matt Ryan, or will they commence the process of getting a young quarterback ready?
Mike, figure out right now the difference between taking a young quarterback with a rookie contract for, let's say, 5 years, including the 5th-year option. Figure out the average cap number of that player over the next 5 years versus the average cap number of Matt Ryan over the next 5 years if they were to re-sign him, let's say, at the end of next year or whenever. And if you did that, to me, one of the factors that you must consider if you do take a quarterback at number 4 is that it means almost certainly that Matt Ryan's going to play probably 2 more years for your team, and then he's gone. So the last 3 years of the 5-year number for the rookie, what would it average, let's say? Maybe about $9 million, $10 million, including that 5th-year option. But that is one thing that I believe, instead of 9 or 10 or 11 million, if you sign Matt Ryan, then you're averaging in the 30s at least. And so that's one thing that I think the Falcons have to consider. But the one other thing that I was told by people who know the Falcons is that Arthur Smith absolutely categorically is not going to reach for a quarterback just because they got the 4th pick in the draft and maybe you'll never be here again. I was told he was not going to make that pick into something that, hey, I like this guy a lot. He's going to have to love a quarterback at number 4 in order to take him. And Mike, that's why, in my opinion, if I am guessing right now, I think they're going to take either, the tight end from Florida, Kyle Pitts, or whichever wide receiver they're madly in love with. That's just that's my gut feeling.
They've tinkered a bit with Matt Ryan's contract. His cap number this year, $26.9 million, but next year it goes to $48.6 million if he's on the team. If they cut him or trade him, they're looking at about, I'm doing the math here, they're looking at about $36 million in dead money that they're going to have to deal with next year. But it's either 48. I think after this year, you're either renewing your vows with Matt Ryan on a long-term deal, or you're cutting him or trading him. I don't think you can carry a $48 million cap charge into 2022 because the cap's not going to be dramatically higher than this year because the pandemic losses will persist. And you're right, it's going to be about $9-10 million a year for a young guy. And hey, the other option is trade down. Look, one of the reasons that you do all the work on the quarterbacks that may be there at 4 is so you can best negotiate the value of that pick when it's time to talk turkey about Trey Lance. You know everything there is to know about Trey Lance. You've been scouting him, and you may draft him. That's also part of the leverage. Hey, you don't want to trade up? He ain't going to be there when you pick. He's not going to slip through the cracks. We're taking him. So when you look at a team that really feels like it needs an influx of young talent, one way to do it, Peter, move down and get more lottery tickets.
I couldn't agree more. And in that particular situation, especially, Mike, if Washington, Chicago, or New England, New England 15, Washington 19, Chicago 20, if they are desperate to get one of those quarterbacks, that they are going to have to basically ruin their next couple of drafts in order to do so. At the very least, ruin the 2022 draft. And so if you are, it's so fascinating to me because if you're the Falcons and you determine that, let's just say, we think we can trade down to X and get a really good player there from a pool of these 4 or 5 guys. Would you do that if it meant that you had 2 additional first-round picks in the next 2 drafts? I think that's something that Terry Fontenot absolutely has to consider. Not that I think it's going to happen, but it could.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.